Warning, may contain controversial material, also may contain swearing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hold up. Hold up. Don't be scared. You'll never change what's been and gone. May your smile shine on. Don't be scared. Your destiny may keep you warm. 'Cause all of the stars have faded away. Just try not to worry, you'll see them someday. Take what you need and be on your way, and stop crying your heart out.
Welcome back. Sorry it's been a wee while since I've been on. This video has been a long time coming. This theory that I've had has been there mostly, even from the beginning. I mean, I've jumped the fence thinking the parents did it, they didn't do it, and then back again. This story is really heartbreaking and really deep. The reason I come to this conclusion, I'm going to point out exactly why I came to this conclusion. Also, if you follow NA's podcast, you'll know that there's a girl on that very sweet called Jen. I recently got speaking to her, and she confirmed a lot of my theories with what she thought as well, which gave me a bit more backbone, I must admit. But this is how I think things went down and what happened. So here it is, folks. This is the story of why I think Kate and Jerry McCann accidentally killed Madeleine. Enjoy.
Did you kill your daughter?
No, that's an emphatic no. I mean, the ludicrous thing is what's been purported from Portugal is that Madeleine died in the apartment by an accident and we hid her body. Well, when did she have the accident and died? Because the only time she was left unattended was when we were at dinner. So if she died then, how could we have disposed or hidden her body, when there was an immediate threat? It's just nonsense. So, and if she died when we were in the apartment or fell and did something, why would we cover that up?
Now, to me, that was one of the most telling interviews ever. I think Jerry pretty much nailed it right in the head there. Why would they kill their daughter and cover it up? Well, maybe because you're both doctors then. And what happened for disgraced doctors? They get struck off. Plus, you would probably be done stupid for negligence or child abuse. Anyway, another point I want to make out is the description of her. Notice how they use the word perfect a lot. They seem to describe her perfect shape, her perfect head. Check this out.
Jay, what are your first memories of Madeleine as a baby?
She came out screaming.
Yeah.
She was a McCann. There's no doubt about that. She was very loud, but she came out almost perfectly formed. It was really, she was instantly beautiful.
Because you had been through IVF to conceive her, that it must have had an extra poignancy when she was born. Can you tell me?
Very overwhelming, and it's that sort of that immediate love, really. And she did feel special. I mean, it did feel like, after all we've been through, wow.
Clap your hands together. 1, 2, 3.
I've looked at photographs of your family around about that time, I think not long after the twins have been born. The thing that constantly strikes me You have this sort of giant smile in every picture, which is like, here we are. This is it. This is all that matters. Is that how you felt?
Yeah, I mean, it was all I kind of dreamed of, really. And I can remember one morning, my mum and dad were there, and we'd all piled into their bedroom, and the 3 kids were climbing on top of me. And I just remember mum saying, "Look at you with your 3 kids," you know. And it was just great, you know. It was perfect, you know.
Perfectly formed. Now, who describes their kid like that? I certainly wouldn't. And another thing as well, he turned round and said, she came out screaming, she was definitely a McCann. I'll bring this up in a minute.
What did Madeleine make of the swimming pool? Was she right in there?
Yeah, she was. She was desperate to get in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the end of April we went out, and it wasn't that warm, but she was straight in. She said, "Mummy, can we go in swimming?" And
She loved swimming. I really absolutely loved it. So she really wanted to get in that water.
The McCanns got involved with activities provided by the complex. There were kids' clubs for the children. Kate and Jerry signed up for tennis lessons. There was also time for them to be together as a family.
And then generally it's probably about 6:30. We'd all go back to our respective apartments, and then it'd be sort of bedtime routine, really.
In the evenings, the adults would dine in the resort's tapas restaurant, which was 50 metres from the McCann's apartment. 5 days into the holiday, the group was settled into this routine.
And for all the go on about Madeleine, we all know that she wasn't perfect. I'm not saying that any child is or anything like that, but we all know about her eye. Coloboma is a gap in the part of the eye structure, normally towards the bottom of the eye. It can affect just one or both eyes. It does not mean that there is a hole in the eyes, just that they did not form fully during pregnancy. So, as we all know, Madeleine was conceived through IVF because Kate McCann had some STDs back in the day that would not allow her a full term. So, I'm just wondering, Kate, was that when you were like university? Dundee University was that? The same university, fair enough, 10 years before you graduated, Clement Freud was rector of. And the thing is, paedophiles will still hang about places where there's young. I mean, look at Dan Snyder. He's sacked from Nickelodeon, but he's still sniffing about there.
The window was closed and we had curtains right across, so it was nice and dark in the room.
And then, as always, just close the door. Not right over, but just so it was open a little bit so that the light from the living room would get through. And I have to say, it was quiet within seconds. I think they were all just so tired and fell asleep.
And now, Kate said in that previous video that when she put the kids down, they went straight to sleep. Why was that?
In that evening, did you give to your kids something like Calpol to help them sleep?
You know, we're not going to comment on anything, but, you know, there is absolutely no way we used any sedative drugs or anything like that. And, you know, we have cooperated fully with the police. We'll answer any queries, any test that they want to do.
And it would be Aileen McCann, Jerry's mother, who would first come out with that the kids could have been drugged. Wonder where she got that idea. Kate admitted giving Benadryl or Calpol to the kids. And even later on, the grandparents admitted that the kids were given a sleeping pill to help them go to sleep. And yes, Calpol and Benadryl are common over-the-counter medications in the UK that cause drowsiness, but are also can be quite deadly with paracetamol. And as doctors, they should have known this. The twins were tested for drugs, but this was 3 weeks after Madeleine went missing. Okay, so I know the Scottish are known for being Scrooge McDucks with their money, but would it have been so bad to pay for a babysitter that night? Or was it the simple fact that you didn't pay for a babysitter because they would have found out that you sedated your kids? And even the Portuguese police thought that Kate was having trouble with the kids being hyper. This is one of the theories being explored by the Portuguese police, who have suggested that Mrs. McCann had problems coping with her hyperactive children. Could this be the reason why Madeleine wasn't sleeping and waking up in the night looking for her parents? Could this be why she's more tolerant to the sedation? Could this be why she was administered more? Now, these two dogs were intricate in this investigation. They were sent out by the UK. They're sniffer dogs, but they are specially trained to sniff out blood and cadaverine. Not meat, not pork, or anything else. Blood and decaying corpses.
We screened the vehicles using the dog, and the only reaction we've had is to the car in the far corner. And what we have is a reaction from the dog over here, where his head's up in the air, and he's sent in the items that he's trained to find. And when we tie him down, he picks this guy from this door. The important thing to realise is that he's picking the scent that's coming out through the seal of the door.
Please note all the alerts from the dogs in this video.
We deployed the enhanced victim recovery dog into the apartment, and by experience and the training of the dog, what I first noticed is that as soon as I came in, that the dog's very excited, and as a handler I can pick up his body language, etc. And it would appear to me that as soon as he's come in the house, he's picked up a scent that he recognises. The second dog that we've seen work today is the crime scene dog, Keela. She will only indicate to me when she's found human blood. At this point over here, where the victim recovery dog was indicated. As you saw on the video, the crime scene dog was actually giving me what we call a passive indication, where she freezes in this spot here, which would indicate to me that there is some human blood there. She will find blood that's historically very old, and she will find anybody's blood, any human blood, which is important to make sure that everybody knows. The fact that there's other scientific methods being used may stop you recovering any DNA, but if you try, we'll see what happens. But she is very, very good, and when she indicates, there is always blood there.
So the dogs alerted in the rental car that was rented after Madeleine went missing, and also all over the apartment. Does that not tell you something? As well as all over Kate's clothes, meaning that, well, she must have handled the corpse at some point. And one other thing I did notice in all the interviews, whenever they're asked if they killed their daughter, it's only Jerry that ever replies to it. Kate never does. Any questions about that, and it's never put towards Kate. And then there was the 48 questions that Kate was asked by the Portuguese police that she didn't bother answering. Now, I feel that the reason she didn't bother answering is because she knew that it was a load of rubbish. She knew where Madeleine was. She knew where the body was. All these questions were asked to trip her up, and she was most likely told by somebody to keep your mouth shut so you don't trip up. And you can tell throughout the questioning that she really didn't give a crap. I mean, the Portuguese police even at the end turned around and said to her, "You do realise we are trying to help you find your child?" And she said yes, but still, she didn't bother, not at all. Is that the actions of somebody that has a missing child, or somebody that knows where their child is? See, what appears to me is the first thing that Jerry did when he found out Madeleine had passed, he'd phoned the British Embassy or his connections and his higher class friends. Probably got in contact with the government and they assessed the situation. Didn't want an international incident in which 2 British doctors have killed their daughter by accident. I mean, how would that make the British look? Robert Murat, who had previously worked with the British police, was at his mother's house in the UK in London, fixing up, renovating her house. I believe he probably got a phone call from the British government going to ask to help out with translation because he owned a villa just across the road from where Madeleine went missing. But I believe he was put in there to, I don't know, calm down the Portuguese police and spin their version of events. Not the Portuguese, but the British term of events, and try and spin it that way. I think he was doing a crap job, so they decided to throw him under the bus, as stated here. So this is why they brought Clement in. I think Clement and Kate probably did meet at some point back in university. It makes me wonder because, well, Kate caught some nasty STDs that couldn't make her conceive, and that's why she had to have IVF. It just makes me wonder, back in the day, who was at those parties, and, well, if he was the rector, fair enough, it was 10 years later, but I still think he would have been sniffing about then. Could be wrong, though, could be wrong. See, it seems to me that Clement could have been the friendly face that came in to wine and dine the McCanns, while his help maybe take care of the body.
You've said in the past that there can be nobody who knows your story who can look back on that night as much as you yourself have looked back on it and said, what could we have done? What should we have done? How do you deal with those feelings now?
Maybe I'll say it first because I think I realised really early on that you could guilt, ifs, buts, maybes could just eat away at you and it doesn't change what's happened. It's almost been a mantra for me is to look forward and always look forward at what can still be done.
I think it took me longer to get to that point, and I did persecute myself over a decision to eat at the tapas restaurant for weeks, months, years, I'd say.
For years, did you?
Yeah, we must. Why did we think that was okay? Obviously with hindsight. But then, as Jerry said, it doesn't help. It doesn't help us. It doesn't help Madeleine. And ultimately, it's not us that's committed this crime. It's the person who's gone into that apartment and taken a little girl away from her family.
See, how can somebody break into a place and leave no DNA, getting through the window with a shutter, and not leave anything, or even be seen leaving with a kid in your kid in your arms, going through that window? Another one was as well, Jerry's GPS on the car was triangulated down by the beach. Now, another bunch that do excellent work on the Madeleine McCann series is the Armchair Detectives. I'll give a link at the bottom if you want to have a look at their stuff. They're really thorough too. They explain exactly how I think they got rid of the body as well.
The trigger for having to move the body to somewhere unobtainable. The triangle of pings tell us that was the area chosen. That's where Maddie's body is, in my opinion, somewhere in that triangle. Of course I can't prove it. I'm just telling you what the metadata says. There was fear, a number of days after the fear, that car was around that area. During one of those trips, I think Maddie was moved. Because once those top British sniffer dogs were there, they were at risk.
So, to sum it all up, I do think that the McCanns killed their daughter Madeleine by overdosing her on sleep medication. I think that she did have problems sleeping. It wasn't the first night that they'd left her overnight while they were drinking. I think it was accidental. Possibly they could have been drinking throughout the day, and then when it came to administering medication, that she maybe gave her a dose and one didn't know the other did, and then the other one gave her a dose. Or maybe she was becoming immune to it. I mean, there was a story as well about her being up and crying when they came back one of the nights, which is a possibility. It could be the night before, so she could be double medicated to try and make her sleep. I do think that they did have their hand in it, though, because the cadaver dogs don't lie. Those dogs were trained to sniff out blood in cadaver, and like I said, they're specially trained for that, and their noses are 1,000 times better than humans. I mean, they don't lie. They can make mistakes, though, yes, but also, I do think that when this happened, I think that Jerry must have phoned either the British Embassy or got in contact with the British government, who then instructed him what to do, because two doctors, two high-class sort of doctors, in Portugal found to kill found to have killed their daughter, it's not going to look nice, is it? It's not going to look good on the British anyway. So I think they were all instructed to like cover it up. That's when Robert Murat was called over, because he had worked with the police before. So he was called over, and because he had a villa just across the road from where the McCanns were staying. So he was called in for an interpreter and a translator, and to make sure that the Portuguese police were still spinning the idea of it being an abduction, even though there was no fingerprints, there was no damage to any of the windows, doors, the shutter, the amazing shutter that everybody thinks that was somebody carried her out on. There was nothing. Anyway, I think Robert was doing a really rubbish job, or the McCanns probably thought this. So he got thrown under the bus and was accused. Clement Freud came in because he has his social circles with the government here as well as probably the connection with Kate in Dundee University, because that was very, very coincidental, or it is to me anyway. But anyway, I think he came in and he wined and dined the McCanns, while his help probably prepared the body, prepared it for its final resting place. As the Armchair Detectives showed you there as well, Jerry's GPS was triangulated. It was pinged down by the beach at one point, so that was most likely the place where she was laid to rest.
She's a real character. She's got loads of personality. I mean, obviously, it's only a couple of years since I've seen her, but for someone so young, I just thought she was quite amazing.
And you know it. Clap your hands.
It's obviously quite hard thinking about it, sorry. She was just really good company, just... she's like my little friend sort of all the time. The ones that Madeleine has done, I just can't pull down, to be honest. Yep, the train. You've probably hit on the most emotional one, actually. Yeah, it says here, Madeleine Donegal, Easter 2007, and that was the April we went to Portugal. I look back and think, why can't we just rewind the clock? And it takes you back to really happy memories, things that you really enjoyed, and it's just a reminder really of what isn't here.
So yeah, that's my take on it. I think the British government covered it up because it would make them look stupid. 2 doctors, high class, killed their own kid while abroad. It's not going to look nice, is it? Anyway, thanks for everybody that's watching. Special thanks to Silverdoe and Madeleine McCann Tweets. They were a great help helping me on this, as well as Jen. Thanks a lot. But next time you see the McCanns doing an interview and you watch their body language and their behaviour, and just ask yourself, are these the behaviours of a couple that have lost their daughter, or are these the behaviours of a couple that have accidentally killed their daughter and really don't care for it much anymore? Because that's the whole demeanour that I get anyway. Anyway, I'll catch you on the next one.